power overwhelming. So here, the only purpose for this, main purpose for this, is to, because there was a big pool of water here, and that's not good to have leaning against the wall for all obvious reasons, but especially here during winter time, because the water seeps into the wall, and then when the minus degrees hits, we get cracks and tears on the bricks, which isn't too nice. Now I could of course just fill soil and some plastic and whatever, but I figured I want to go this route. And what I'm going to do is repeat that over here before it starts raining, so I can actually cover this, because what happens is that the water, this was done kind of in a hurry, so the water is seeping through under and into the basement, which generally doesn't do anything. But again, winter comes, water is under the rocks, and it expands with the frost and causes cracks and damages. So I'll fill up here to prevent, and all the way over there to prevent it from seeping in through under the wall, because I only wanted to go under the rocks there. That's fine, but not on the bricks. And so now the obvious question is, why the hell do you bother having a strong as fuck chain here for something like this? The reason is because, one, I don't really trust the bedrock here. It's fairly soft. And two, I'm not sure if I'm going to be tunneling under here, if I'm going to remove, go from the basement, because it's fairly tall inside. So I can maybe make like a small tunnel, or maybe even just an entry coming up here. Sure, that's a lot of work and so forth, but it's also very cool, and subsequently it might be worth it. So to be sure that I'm not going to, or to reduce the chance of having any injuries or accidents if that were to ever occur, I place this chain, which I have plenty of, because there's some fishing industry around here and they're throwing away chains, and I have more chains I can get, so it's for free. So I figured, heck, why not? Better have it and not need it than need it and not have it, because that can complicate things for me later. So yeah, and then interlock it with all the granite rocks, which are pretty much the toughest rocks you'll come across, and cast this part in, and so this part is then secured for the winter. I don't have to worry about too much wear and tear on it. So that's going to be good. And then later on, of course, I can proceed with a more thorough treatment of the wall, similar to what I'm doing here. Because here I have like the electric and the water and all that coming under here. And last winter I went away to Ghana, so I just shut down the water, and this wasn't an issue. But this winter I will be around, so it is an issue. And so what I have done is I did impregnate the wall last year before I left, with the same impregnation you see there, to prevent the water from seeping into the rocks and causing it to crack. But what I'm going to do, what I've done now is painted it to give it extra waterproofing. And then I'm going to take this insulation plastic here, cover it up against the wall, and so hopefully by Monday or somewhere time next week, I will get a lot of filling mass that I can put in here. And so the reason I'm taking like these extra efforts, because usually the impregnation I put on alongside with that plastic is considered by most to be enough. This is a waste of paint and aesthetical approach to things, many would say. But the thing is that I'm never going to dig this up again. Once this, because under here I have a good drainage, like a bunch of rocks to kind of keep the water flowing, so all the water that is scattered here, it just flows uninterrupted more or less under the basement and out, and so the groundworks here are done. It has a heating cable for the water, so in the event of frost reaching down, it turns on, and I don't burst my pipes or anything. And so when the soil is laid up on here, nothing else will be done here. This will never be dug up again. And so to ensure that the walls will never have any tear that I have to concern myself about, the paint, in addition to the impregnation plus the plastic, is the approach I chose to go for. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all there is to say for the time being. Oh yeah, and also like I still have some painting to do here, but it's kind of cumbersome with a ladder, so I'm going to wait for the mass to fill up here, spend the rest of the paint I have on this one, and call it good for that's the winter, the last things I have to do to secure for the winter. For technical like I should also be covering up this a little bit more, but it's not like this. warning band here. This is says cable, so you don't start digging into cables. It's supposed to have like 30 to 40 centimeters more soil, so I need to fill up to here. And that will make a nice mound here for growing stuff and the whatnot. And so I can then later on proceed with. So like one thing I wanted to do before they fill the mass, but I think I'm just gonna call it off, would be to fill rocks in here as I did over there. Oops, focus. The rocks over there. So same thing here, and then cast a new little brick wall up here to so there isn't so much soil going in all directions here, keeping it on this side, because here I might want to expand, and if I do, it will probably be a little bit diagonally out in this direction towards this bedrock here. And so that's why I don't want to have a bunch of soil here now, because I don't have to dig it up later. But I think it's just gonna have to be the extra work I take for myself later. And then hopefully by next year I'll be able to afford paint to paint all the walls here white, because there's another reason why you should do this, and this again has to do with winter preparations, because the white reflects light, right? So it doesn't absorb the heat. And this is important during winter because, yeah, sure, it's generally cold and maybe you want to protect the rocks from extreme temperatures. But the thing is, like during the day, when the few hours that the sun is actually up, it will heat the exterior much more than the core. And so that causes a temperature differential that wears and tears much quicker on the material. So that is another reason why I chose white. Also for the wood, the same thing applies there, because then since it doesn't absorb the sunlight heat, the temperature differences that build up during the day won't be so great, and so the wear and tear on your wall is going to be, on your materials in general, are going to be a lot less. So that's going to be my next step, but it will probably be by next year. I'll paint all this, probably another extra layer on the house, and I'll also paint the inside because you get it bright inside and it seems bigger. So now the idea of actually painting white here to secure from winter is something you can easily take, you can find, like you usually could, examples in nature where the same evolutionary concept has been applied. And the best way to demonstrate that, I think, is to just show you this birch tree. Now birches are kind of known for being a little bit peculiar and having this turning white, and so like you can see here it's colored, it's like reddish, and that's the younger. When it's thin, it's like that, but as it gets thicker, you see down the trunk, it gets white. So the thick one over there is white, and the reason is the same. That's at least what's speculated by biologists. The reason is because since they are inactive during the winter, they cannot conduct any repairs or anything. And so when the sun hits them, the white reflects the light and prevents the temperature from on the outside of the wood compared to the core of the wood to be so great. It's not such a big difference, so it doesn't crack that easily. So that's the way nature has evolved this tree to protect itself from the frost and winter around here. And I am just gonna steal that idea and apply it to my house. And yeah. So, oh yeah, and then there is like one final winter preparation thing I have before I can kind of rest my shoulders a bit, shall I say. I need to, of course, tidy up a whole bunch here, but the final part of winter preparation would be same as on the other side there, where I'm casting to get the water to run off. The same I will do here, so no water pulls off. Plug that hole in there so no water pours in. Continue through here, because also here, despite me having like a more thorough foundation for the wall, the concrete isn't entirely impervious, so there's still water pouring through cracks that have emerged during the winter because I didn't fill in here at the first. Reason being because I am going to be expanding later. And then and here I'm also going to put a chain across, because here I'm fairly certain I will be expanding, I think from there, simply due to the height. I'll be expanding in that direction and have like a shed or basement inside here. That would be cool. And so I'll put a chain and some metal across here to so whether I go under here or I go under here or whatever, as I peck away on the rocks, the bedrock, it's still gonna, it's less likely to collapse. So yeah, I think that should do it. Well, this was supposed to be like a 2-minute video, but as usual, it takes much more time. So a 10-minute video. But yeah, taking shape, getting done. Got the paint here now finally with the scaffold on, and yeah. Well, so this part here, I probably have to shelve it for this year and continue next year. Here I was gonna chain down like cage the bedrock, so to make sure it's like sturdy as F. And I have some pillars coming up from the bottom there. I've been working quite a lot trying to dig up and clearing it so it's only granite and like so it's very strong and sturdy. But I might be running out of materials and money to buy it, and it's also winter is coming on pretty quickly, so which is not an ideal time to be doing any of that kind of stuff here. So the supports that the pillars and also the reinforcement on the bedrock itself, I was gonna drill in just like I did with those little rebar pieces there. I'm gonna do that like in 2 rows up here. Have a couple of pillars there, and I think I was gonna have pillars in the middle, but I think I'm going to put it closer to the wall. So there's like 2 pillars up there to reinforce that part, and 2 pillars there to reinforce that part. And from those pillars there are chain support up to the foundations of this wall here and there. And then when because what I want to have here is a casted concrete roof, so that if I want to, I can just make the garage here. If I don't expand the house in this direction, here a garage may be placed on top of the basement, you know. It's certainly not going to wear out anytime soon. That shit lasts forever. So, and so that's what I'm going to be needing to do for, and I'll have to do it during the summer before winter sets in, to reinforce the pillars up here, and I'll also strengthen the walls probably on the exterior to get as much real estate space inside. And here I'm going to be casting my own bricks with the rebars, adapted rebars for the to basically reinforce the exterior, so you can throw a missile at it and the wall will just say fuck you. But as you can see, that's a lot of work ahead on this. I might not even be done by next year, but I hope to do so. So yeah, it's kind of fun to be a homeowner. What a nice lovely day today. And this is the cool thing about having a nice autumn, is that uh, it's kind of cool, but it's nice. Like I'm still in a shirt and everything. But it's kind of cool, so you don't overheat so quickly while you're working outside, which is quite nice. So here's the rocks I'm gonna mix in or whatever. So yeah, I guess I'll just start getting to cast this stuff. Hope you enjoy it.